What's up guys, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Tuesday, January 18th. Last nice day we're gonna have for, looks like at least a week. Got some nasty winter weather coming in. We've kind of dodged a bullet so far other than the snow over the weekend. Sorry we missed last week. In all honesty, I did not have my truck for a few days last week. Had to have a heater core put in it, which is always fun when it's this cold and you don't have heat. And so between that and the weather not matching up, I was only on the water a couple of times last week. Did not get an opportunity to shoot a video. Got out today, didn't fish over the weekend, got out today, did a little bit of crappie fishing, a little bit of bass fishing. Things are definitely changing. Depending on your point of view, things are either changing for the better or not. But we'll get into that here in a minute. As far as our lake level, we're at 14.66, half a foot down. Corey is still drawing stuff down. They're still drawing beaver down, still drawing table rock down. Trying to get beaver low enough they can, number one, work on the dam, and number two, not have it be flooded all next summer. So they're trying a little bit new water management program on both lakes, actually all the lakes in the chain. Water temperature really hasn't moved that much. I'm down here by the dam and it's about 51.2. Went up in the Long Creek, up in the Arkansas today, hunting for crappie, and I think coldest I saw was 50.1. So even that stained water really didn't cool off that much with the snow and the runoff and everything else. I'm sure, you know, if I would have went far enough up into Long Creek or in like the back of Cricket or something like that, I would have found some much cooler water. I know like up the Kings, when you get up around the 86 bridge, it cools off quite a bit, but overall water temperature still low 50s, so we haven't seen a huge drop off in water temperature. But like I said, the bite's starting to change. Things are changing. Things are different. You know, best way to stay on top of it, of course, join Table Rock Fishing Intel, become a pro member, get those reports daily, weekly, so on and so forth. We've had a few member reports. We've had a couple other guides post some reports on there since I've not been on the water. So we are still getting your reports whenever the weather is permitting. But if you're coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake where I was today, I'll start with a crappie bite. It was okay. I didn't quite catch a limit, and I didn't fish all day for them. I kind of set a time limit on myself, got out here at about 8 and figured by noon I needed to be done crappie fishing and do a little bit of bass fishing. Was hoping the wind would pick up a little bit earlier, but it really didn't pick up till about 1:30. But crappie, I'm catching them on the Yater baits, little swimming minnow that they make. It's just a tiny little 2.5-inch swim bait on an 1/8 ounce head, either around cedar trees or around some brush piles, and even catching some around the dock. Some of the bigger commercial docks have got some crappie on them, so that's kind of where I've been catching the crappie. As far as the bass fishing down here, I'm sure there's a deep bite. I gotta be honest with you guys, I didn't even go look for it today. I'm kind of over it, kind of tired of fishing deep. So I went out and basically targeted shallow fish. Like I said, I wish the wind would have come up a little bit earlier in the day. There's about a 5-mile-an-hour wind right now, and it didn't start till about 1:30 or 2. So that didn't help me much, but I did catch a few on a Jewel Pro spider jig, fishing mostly rock and gravel mix main lake points. Those fish were 10 to about 18, maybe even 20 feet deep. I was holding the boat about 25 to 30. Catching those fish. When the wind did come up, I did go through a rock crawler a little bit. Had a couple of fish slap at it, but they really weren't committing to it. So I think if you've got the wind and now we've got clouds coming in, if I were to go back out right now, I'd probably throw a rock crawler. I'd probably throw a stick bait, either a mixed stick or Mega Bass Vision 110, or possibly even an A-rig, because I think that bite is coming pretty quick as well. Go up in the mid-lake area. I fished the mid-lake area one of the days I was on the water last week. There is a deep bite there. We caught him on a Demiki rig, caught him on a scuba spoon, and caught him on the jigging wrap. Most of those fish were in the guts of the creeks. Back a little bit further than I expected. They were only in about 50 to 55. Shad helped, but it seems like if I find these massive schools of shad that we're looking for last month, I'm not finding as many fish around them. It's almost as if the fish are looking for smaller groups of shad, which doesn't make any sense at all, but it is what it is. So that's how we caught them deep up there. Did catch them on a jig up there as well, Jewel Pro Spider jig on those steeper gravel and rock mix banks and points, both on the main lake and back in the creeks. The jig fish, it was a windy, cloudy day that day. Actually, it was cloudy and the wind came up later, but it was cloudy when we started throwing a jig. And those fish were only about 10 foot deep. I'm sure if the sun was shining like it was today, those fish would have been out a little bit deeper. So anywhere from that 10 to 20 foot range should be good. Crankbait, jerkbait, A-rig bite. Threw it a little bit. Did not really have good wind when I was up there, but I know we did catch a couple on a crankbait, both on a rock crawler. 45-degree chunk rock bank with what little wind we had blowing on it, and those fish were in less than 10 foot of water. If we would have had a little bit more wind or a little bit more cloud cover, I think we would have done better with that, and same with a mixed stick or Megabass Vision 110 or the A-rig, either way. Go up into the James. There is a good shallow bite up the James. I've not been, but I talked to one of our other guides who was up there this past week, and he said he definitely can catch him on a jig up there, Jewel Pro Spider jig. Same sort of deal. You're looking for that mixed rock and gravel, 45-degree, maybe even a little bit steeper bank. Points seemed to be a little bit better for him when he was up there. Fish 8 to about 15 foot deep. Caught him on a rock crawler and a wiggle wart up there. Paralleling those 45-degree chunk rock banks, mostly main lake, he said, but he did catch a few back into the creeks. Had a few on a stick bait as well. Most of his came on a Spro stick. Around brush piles or cedar trees is what he really said he was keying on. And he was watching, looking on his live scope, and if he saw a cedar tree or a brush pile, he'd throw that mixed stick over top of it, and he'd only have to let it sit for a couple of seconds. You can actually watch the fish come out and hit it. He didn't throw an A-rig, but pretty convinced that you could probably catch him on an A-rig up there as well. Go up in the White River. The other day I was on the water last week, I went up into the White River a little ways, went from about Shell Knob up to Big Emish. And, you know, the shallow bite is definitely on up there as well. Seems like those fish turn on a little bit faster. I think part of it may be the amount of current they're releasing out of Beaver has got those fish a little bit more fired up, so that's definitely a good thing. Caught them on Jewel Pro Spider jig again, Okeechobee Blue Bass Whacker were the two colors I was throwing. Most of those fish came 8 to about 15 foot deep on gravel and rock mix points. Mostly main lake or the first or second secondary inside of the bigger creeks, not in the little coves and stuff so much, but the bigger creeks. Caught them on a rock crawler up there too. Those were all main lake fish, and I was basically going to the ends of bluffs where it transitioned down to gravel, those long channel swing banks, and start at the bluff and just work my way till it flattened out, and I didn't feel like I could catch them anymore, but caught several fish doing that, a couple of nice largemouth doing that last week. I was throwing the Phantom Green colored rock crawler, and those fish came out of less than 10 foot of water. Stick bait bite, I did catch 2 on a Spro mixed stick in the Ghost Table Rock shad color. Both of those fish were just inside of points, just inside main lake points and some of the larger creek arms. Again, around cover, either around a cedar tree or around a brush pile, and basically looking for those cedar trees and brush piles with the live scope and throwing past it, working the bait by it, and you actually see the fish come out and eat it. Threw an A-rig a little bit up there. Did not get bit on it. Not exactly sure why. Didn't really give it a lot of time just because I'm not a huge A-rig guy, but threw it for probably about 30 minutes and had a couple of followers I saw on live scope, but did not connect with any fish on that. And there is a deep bite going on up there as well. If you guys want to go fish deep, you can catch them on a Damiki, scuba spoon, jigging wrap, all that stuff. Most of those fish are probably same as they are in the mid-lake, around that 50 to 60 foot range, around smaller groups of shad would be my guess. Guys, we are halfway through January. Lake's not cooling off. We do have a bit of an Arctic blast coming in the next few days. That might make a difference. It's definitely going to keep us off the water for a little bit because I ain't that mad at them. So, but the bite is definitely changing. We're getting a shallow bite earlier than we normally do, and I think it's strictly because of the warmer water temperature, the warmer days, the amount of current they're running, all that. I really think that that's what's triggering these fish to move shallow early this year. And I'm down with it because I'm, like I said earlier, I'm pretty much over fishing deep. Unless I have to, I'm not going to go out and fish deep. But yeah, definitely a good shallow bite. Best way to know what's going on, best way to stay on top of it. Become a pro member, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Get those reports, get all the articles, get all the information we've got on there to help you find and catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. 45 bucks a year. It's less than $1 a day. I mean, come on, man. It's less than $1 a week, and you can catch more fish and have more fun out here on Table Rock. But if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Take a minute, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.